In 3, 2, 1, welcome to another exciting episode of Buddy Talks. I am your host, Marvin. I noticed that I forget to say that quite often, so this time I made a point to say it. And tonight, joining me is Adam.
Hello.
And Billiam.
You say my name right.
Willie.
Say my name, say my name.
Willie.
Speaking of,
When no one
the
is
fact
right.
that they used that in the Candyman trailer is pretty awesome.
It was actually, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I like that.
But yeah, William and Adam here from In Our Honest Opinion
Woo!
and AdamAnalyzes.com.
Did that a little loud, I'm sorry.
.com.
Thank
There
you,
it
Adam.
That was good.
I appreciate that.
That was good.
But before we get into our topic of 80s movies and why we love them, we got a little bit of housekeeping to do.
And how are you? Oh, too early. It's too
Yes,
early.
way too early. If you can go ahead and give us a 5-star rating and a written text review, that would be awesome because that's going to allow us to reach the masses and spread the love of digital hugs.
I love digital hugs.
We all love digital hugs.
We got to find the
Really?
episode that became a thing.
Wasn't that like in the...
That was
in
like
the first
season 1.
Yeah, for sure.
That was
Yeah,
our
well,
opinion.
But it was early on, wasn't it?
Yeah,
No.
I think we were making fun of Aaron Mankey.
What was it?
In the first
first
5
5?
episodes?
I'm going to say within the first 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 5, but she may be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to
She
re-listen.
is a live studio.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the...
I haven't
The
listened to
back
season 1
episodes, yeah,
in a long time because I'm afraid to listen to season 1.
They were rough.
They were.
That's why. They're rough. Anyways.
But moving right along to our next segment is the vibe check, formerly known as Where Your Head At. Adam, we'll start with you. Here's a vibe check. How you doing this week?
My vibes are good.
Your vibe? You got some good vibes?
I got some very good vibes, man.
I like it. It's that good energy for the universe.
Yeah, everything's good. Except for, getting followed by a cop the whole way here. So.
Yeah, it's hard being a black man.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, you know the struggle, Adam.
I
You know
do.
the struggle. Unlike Will, he doesn't know anything about it.
More than me, for sure. For sure.
Glad you're doing well, man. That's awesome.
Thank
what about
you.
you, Will?
I'm doing the fantabulous life of Harley. No, wait, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. So you mean you were like number 1 for a week and then you just fell off?
They weren't even number 1 for it. Didn't that movie bomb from the get-go?
I thought it
No,
opened,
it was
number 1 for
Did
like
it
a
open?
week.
It was just low.
No.
It was a low number
It was a
1
very
because there wasn't
low.
anything else happening,
Gotcha,
but
yeah.
Gotcha. So
it
then,
was
yeah,
number 1.
I was number 1 for a week, and then it was all taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah. By Sonic.
Yeah.
Of all things.
Yeah.
I think that thing ran number 1 for like 3 weekends, right? It didn't
think
have
so.
anything. It didn't have anything to fight, though.
No, it was pretty desolate.
Yeah.
I think something. What came out over the weekend that finally knocked it off?
Invisible
Onward.
Man was
Onward,
the...
Invisible Man. Yeah.
Well,
No, Invisible.
Onward is this coming week.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
I believe so.
Invisible Man knocked it down? I don't
Yeah,
think
it made $26 million its first weekend. I thought it was number 1.
I don't know.
Damn.
More than what they were expecting.
Those are numbers that we check for in our honest opinion. For
Yeah.
Buddy Talks, we don't.
Yeah, true. True takes. Anyways.
But yeah,
But yeah, no, I'm good. How about you? How you feeling?
I'm actually doing pretty good. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, man. You know what? You know why I asked? Because I'm not Mike. That's why.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, Mike, I don't think we met face to face. But I'm standing in front of you and I'm shanking you nonstop. I care how you feel, Marvin. Tell us.
Appreciate that. You know what's funny is Bed Bath & Beyond is closing, and I got a neon sign that says "Good Vibes." I had to put that up
Nice.
because it's awesome. Especially for vibe check.
Are all of them closing? Or
No, the one over at Citrus Park is closing. So
Oh, really?
if you need a vacuum, Keurig, or a KitchenAid, they have them
Keurig,
for
right.
pretty good prices right now.
All right. I might have to actually swing by there. I hate Bed Bath & Beyond.
So do I. But I got some cool silicone stuff for the barbecue grill.
That sounds like bra stuff. That's
I mean,
like you got silicone boob enhancers or something.
I mean, it helps lift the butt. It's a pork butt, but it helps lift the butt.
Yeah.
Um,
It is what it is.
We definitely noticed, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, especially when I'm waving it in your face all the time.
Jesus.
Look at my butt, Adam.
Get it away. Okay.
That's lifted.
Yeah. But yeah, everything's going really well. Work's going really well. The project I'm working on I'm knocking it out of the park so far, so I feel pretty good about that.
Good.
And I'm coming up with a couple of ideas possibly for just our brand.
Gotcha.
I will fill you guys in more on that later.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking of doing some cool
off the
stuff.
mic thing.
Yeah,
Cool.
we'll take that conversation offline, as they say in corporate
And
speak.
douchebag. Oh, that
yeah,
too.
Yeah, because of synergy, we got to move the needle.
Yeah.
Got to make sure to move the needle.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
Yeah.
Does it involve explosions?
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
I love explosions.
Nothing but explosions.
Michael Bay.
Climax. But yes. Yeah. Real those explosions. But I had a conversation today at work where I can't even remember how it started. I think we're talking about stuff from our childhood, and I mentioned the Rambo cartoon. You guys remember that?
I forgot that was a fucking thing.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
there was a Rambo cartoon.
Yep.
And then Peter, who was born and raised in Puerto Rico, he didn't remember that, but he talked about Rambo, and he went scene for scene describing the movie. I hadn't seen Rambo. Yup. The Force of Freedom.
Jeez.
I hadn't seen Rambo since I was a child. I think I was maybe 8 or 9 when I actually saw Rambo.
I have not seen any of them.
Actually, maybe even younger, because the first one came out in 82. The second one was in 88.
Of which one?
Rambo.
Oh, the movie.
Really?
Yeah, the movie.
Okay,
They were really that far
Oh, wait, no.
apart?
82, 85, and then 88.
Okay.
My apologies. And then, 2008.
Not
There was a
forgiven.
jump. But he remembered so much of this movie. And it started from there, his impression, because he has a strong accent. Shout out to Peter. But he has a strong Spanish accent. But his Sylvester Stallone impersonation was probably one of the best things I've ever heard in my life.
Really?
Best thing is because it was accurate or just because it's hilarious?
A little bit of both.
Gotcha.
But holy shit. And the thing is, the amount of stuff that he remembered from this movie, I didn't remember half of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that it might have been one of the only movies that he had to watch?
Well, it was one of those movies that they played over and over again. Apparently,
Okay.
Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme movies were huge. So that and Bloodsport were on almost permanent loop. But we went into that, and then we started talking about, I'm not sure if you guys remember this, was The American Ninja
Yeah.
with Michael Dudikoff.
I do
I
remember that.
never watched it, but I'm aware
Yeah,
of
didn't
it.
they do 4 of those
They
things?
did a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But
Good God.
there was something about all those movies from the 80s. And we'll spill into the 90s and stuff as well. But what was it about those movies that just resonate with us? I know, Adam, you're a huge fan of horror.
I am, yeah.
And I know a lot of the horror movies you speak of are from the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, it's let's see. So if you think about it, if you're gonna just single out horror films,
Yes.
in the 70s you had the very brutal movies,
Uh-huh.
such as Last House on the Left.
Was that in the 70s, the original?
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
it was in the 70s, and then you had Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You had all these movies to discuss, and make people uncomfortable. The 80s was kind of where it went into the comedy route.
Yeah.
More specifically, middle and I guess late 80s,
Yeah.
which it later got a resurgence in 96 thanks to Scream.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're probably the most fun out of any of the actual horror films.
Yeah. Okay. What makes you think that there's just so much more fun about those then versus now?
A lot of times they will have, I guess, more self-awareness as opposed to the trying to make you uncomfortable type of thing that I was saying about.
Gotcha.
So specifically with horror films, I enjoy that. I mean, we even had the one Friday the 13th Part 6, I think, where it has the James Bond style opening, which is ridiculous.
I don't remember that
I
at
didn't
all.
know. I didn't know that at all.
I sent it to you guys, and you guys never watched it.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. It's actually
Part 6?
yeah, part 6, the opening. Like it shows Jason, like it zooms in on his eye, and then you see him do the little walk, and then he throws the machete,
Are you serious?
James Bond style. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Holy crap! I don't remember
yeah,
that.
I'm looking this up. Don't worry.
But I mean, a lot of the things as far as like 80s films.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 80s films in general, regardless of what type and genre we're going to talk about. A lot of it brings me back to those childhood memories, you know, the good feelings. It's kind of like a comfort type of thing.
Yeah.
So it feels good to revisit a lot of those.
Okay, so it's something nostalgic for you.
Yeah. So it definitely taps into that nostalgia, and it usually doesn't let me down. So.
Okay.
Will is watching it. Are you,
I am. Oh my god.
That's hilarious.
see, he does like the little walk.
That is
Yeah.
so funny.
That's a fucking trip.
Yeah, I'm watching it too, and
Yeah, and then the blood gushes out onto the screen. That's hilarious.
Uh,
Yeah, that's very, very self-aware. They obviously know what the hell they're going for
Yeah.
there. I don't know, man. There was you know how I think we spoke about this in your last episode, right? Adventure films.
yeah,
I think that the 80s, I think, gave me a lot of like a sense of adventure as far as filmmaking goes.
yeah,
Right? They seemed like they wanted to try new things. They were and they were kind of open, right, to, I don't know, interpretation in regards to everything. Actors, you know, I felt like some movies were over the top. I, you know, felt like some things were a little bit more down to earth or whatever, but it felt more like overall, like it was just a good time to be making films because they genuinely enjoyed what they were doing. It wasn't that they were trying to profit off a sequel. It wasn't like they were trying to, you know, remake something that had been done before. I kind of feel like when I think back to the movies I saw in the 80s, it was just kind of like, yeah, they were having fun here.
yeah.
No matter the genre, like you could tell that they enjoyed the craft, and because of that, you have a movie with staying power.
Yeah.
well, not only that, you think about it. Movies from the 80s, they stayed in theaters for a long time. Usually.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually stayed in there for months.
Yeah.
And it's not like now where, well,
You got a couple of weeks.
yeah, you have a couple weeks, and then in like 3 months or less, it's coming out, you know, on physical. And sometimes, it's like a month and a half it's coming out on digital.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unreal.
And that's what's funny because when I was a kid, I didn't realize if it was just because I was still a kid and my sense of time was off. Mm-hmm. But it felt like sometimes it was years before they came out on home video.
It was sometimes
Sometimes
like a year.
it was like a year. Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden, it, you know, like, oh shit, I remember I saw that last year, and that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about like pre-order this.
No.
It just came out.
It was coming out. Blockbuster was a thing, right? So
Yeah.
that's where like you'd see that it was coming soon. You know what I mean? Like on VHS or whatever.
Think about it too. This goes back to, I think, one of your other buddy talks where you were saying when you were talking to Mike. A lot of the stuff came out like at the rental stores first, and if you wanted to buy it, you had to like buy it from there or like a high-end video store, and it was like like a couple $100
Expensive,
or
yeah,
something
it was
like that for a
expensive as hell.
VHS tape.
I'll never forget seeing Superman on VHS was like $90.
Okay, well that was the one I was referring to. Yeah.
So, and just to throw a couple more movies, you know, out there, so I guess like the listeners get an idea as to what the 80s gave you. Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, E.T., The Breakfast Club, The Shining, Karate Kid, Beverly Hills Cop, Ferris Bueller, the first Terminator film, Princess Bride, Goonies, Stand By Me, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Top Gun, Blade Runner, Aliens, Scarface, Airplane. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are movies that are like
Hit after hit.
yeah, Full Metal Jacket, right? Die Hard, The Empire Strikes Back.
Did you say Coming to America?
No, I didn't say Coming to America. I think
But
that was
that-
early 90s. What
Was it?
No,
was
Let's
it?
see.
I could have sworn it was in the 80s.
You got it?
Coming to America.
I say 88.
88. Yeah.
There you go. Look
Oh
at that.
my God.
Like, and these are films that, again, like you watch them now and people reference them. Like, these are things that like they don't go away.
Yeah.
Tell me a movie from 2002 that you're just like, that like, that you're like, yes, that came out in 2002 and I fucking loved it. And no, Spider-Man 3 doesn't count.
Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man.
Was that in 2002?
2002. I remember that 'cause I was in high school. I was in high school. I was a senior, and I went with a group of friends, and I was trying to talk to this one girl during that time.
Spider-Man. You sure that was in 2002?
Yup.
Yeah.
I can't forget it.
Yeah, it was. 'Cause I already told you guys my story.
Yep.
of,
Oh yeah, that's right.
of it being sold out. and,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we weren't able to see it, so
Yeah.
we went to Hooters.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's crazy, right? That these films they've lasted so
They do.
long, and again, if you talk to a movie buff, you know what I mean, like. The Shining still gets referenced to this day.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Blade Runner is another one that, as far as sci-fi goes, like it's something that again still gets referenced in science fiction.
Yeah.
And keep in mind too, I mean, Blade Runner had a lot of like rip-offs as far as like visual stylings
Yeah.
Oh,
of
definitely.
what the future would look like.
Yeah, exactly. Ferris Bueller. I bought a shirt, maybe like a T-shirt, like 2 weeks ago. That was all Save Ferris or whatever the hell. Like, these are still things that are still popular.
Yeah.
And that's the 80s. I mean, shit, 30 years ago.
It was already starting to like resurface.
Yeah.
But I think with Stranger Things, it definitely pushed the 80s thing. I think that's
Back
where it peaked as far
Yeah.
as like 80s nostalgia. Because I think it probably introduced to a lot of younger people like what Ghostbusters was and stuff like that. Because I don't know how many kids knew about Ghostbusters outside of the remake.
Yeah.
I mean, so
That's
I think that kind of pushed
and
things a little bit forward as far as
I think our generation as well does a good job of like still holding on to those things, right? My ex-wife, I remember at one point, her sister, I think is like at least 10 years younger than me. Like I introduced her to Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Like I remember just one day like watching, and she was like, "What is this?" And my ex-wife talking about he loves this movie. He always watches it. She watched the first one with me, and then after that, she went off and watched the second and the
Wait,
third.
she hadn't seen.
She hadn't seen them, and she was all like, "These movies are awesome," and I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
they are."
It's
Your ex
almost
didn't
like
care for Back to the Future.
No, I don't remember if she likes it or not. I don't know. She's
I
not.
mean, somebody not seeing Back to the Future. It's almost like not seeing The Rocketeer. I'm sorry.
Or The Color Purple.
That was well done. That shut Adam right up. Got him. That's fucking funny. But I don't know, man. It just, that sense of adventure in filmmaking, I don't feel like has been captured in a long time.
I agree.
I think the 90s went through a certain phase that was kind of cool. But then at some point, like, again, just since then, I can't say that, like, oh, my gosh, remember a few years ago where, like, it was this film and that film and that. I mean, even from 2000 to 2010, and realistically, from the last 10 years, like, and as much as I enjoy them, right, the Marvel, like, films,
Yeah.
fine. They gave us 10 years, 20-something, like, movies.
Yeah.
But even that, I don't feel like the sense of adventure in
No.
filmmaking was there that, like, was there in the
I
80s.
think what.
That-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. What they did was they were able to get a world built around all these things, and I think that's their stamp on
Yeah.
what they managed to do. But they're not of the ilk of the previous generation of movies.
Yeah, no, that magic isn't
Yeah.
there. Like, and I'm not, and I know that. I mean,
that
I know.
that's going to be one of the pinpoints of why I don't
Yeah.
enjoy them as much.
Yeah.
And
as
it's
I
a
want
very
to.
valid
It's
argument.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not going to knock you for that. I completely agree with that sentiment, and I'm not trying to take away from what they've achieved.
Yeah.
Over so many films and whatever. Again, cool, great achievement over there. But again, that love for filmmaking, that excitement that kind of comes with, like, oh my God, you could tell, like, especially when I watch, and maybe you guys won't agree, but when I think Ghostbusters 2, right,
Mm-hmm.
like, you get the idea or the feeling that, like, these guys are back together again,
Yeah.
and you're like, yes, like, let's see where these characters go. And then
Yeah.
to watch those actors themselves kind of be like, oh my gosh, it's been years since, we've worked together.
Yeah.
And now it's cool to kind of be back into the swing of things or
Yeah.
whatever. I feel like sometimes you got that from those movies that you don't really get now.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that a lot of movies from the past may be more visually impressive as far as like from a
And-
filmmaking and look standpoint?
That's one thing that I was going to comment about because
I'm sorry.
no. It's actually a perfect segue because how filmmaking and everything was done back then. Okay, you can definitely tell there's a difference because back then it was the art that the director was kind of pushing forward. He didn't have to fight studios like how it is now. Before they could get away with doing things that was just totally out of the blue. Think about some of this. What are you saying?
I would say they probably got away with more.
Oh yeah,
As far as what they could do, but as far as fighting for things, I still think they still had to fight for some stuff. But we had a lot of very popular like independent films that came around in the 80s and stuff. So,
but I feel they did have to fight for stuff. That is true. But I feel that a lot of studios were open to new ideas because nowadays a lot of it is franchises. Yep. If it's not a franchise, if they don't see all the money to be there immediately, they're not going to do it. But back in the day, Raising Arizona, that movie's absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short Circuit. I love that movie.
I love that movie.
A lot of these movies I wouldn't imagine seeing now. Inner Space.
No.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, but you're right. And this is something that Adam's argued before, right?
Yeah.
That like you've expressed like the frustration there, right? That studios continue to fund like these big films. And I understand, again, the idea of a tentpole picture, right?
Yeah.
These, for those who don't know, these are the films that are going to kind of
Make the
stabilize
bulk of the money.
exactly the bankroll for the film studios.
Right.
So they set these up throughout the year so that way they make sure that they can throw out some more of the smaller films. You
Yeah,
don't
but
see as many of the smaller films
I was
as you
going to
used
say
to.
it's
Unless-
occurring less.
Unless it's on Hulu, Netflix.
Exactly.
These are the places now where those films are coming in.
Yep.
Where someone said, hey, look, there is a market for these. And unfortunately, the studios aren't respecting it enough for you to go to a theater and watch it. So fuck it.
Yeah.
Come do it over here. Netflix will pump out how much? Billions,
Yeah.
a year in original programming.
Right.
Take whatever little script and they'll say, yeah, fuck it. Because at some point, right, we spend a couple mil to film it, if that.
Yeah.
A couple 100,000 people watch it, and we've recouped costs. Done.
I mean, with that being said, I'm definitely not a fan of the way Netflix does stuff. As far as like their handling of
three
like
seasons and
the
then it's
3
done.
seasons and you're done, or
Yeah.
one or
Unless
2
you're Stranger
seasons and
Things.
you're done. I mean, like it seems like if you're not, Orange is the New Black, you're not Stranger Things. You know what? You're getting axed.
Exactly.
No, and I don't think so much that they're getting at, because there's still a ton of original programming. I think at some point
there is.
I think at some point even Netflix has to say, all right, well then let's get what we can, right, to make a little bit of that, some of our money, and then move on. And so it's all like, all right, fine, like I get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, not every show should run 10 seasons,
No.
right?
No.
Like, so I get it. Where
But-
especially some of them that we enjoy, like then all of a sudden it's all like, well, I was enjoying that. I guess I'll go fuck myself.
Yeah.
But they are going to stretch out Stranger Things for
yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
make that as
like
long as
10
they can.
seasons. They're going to do it like Orange is the New Black, and I completely lost interest in that show.
But yeah, so that
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
I forgot that was a show.
it-
I couldn't get.
I think
get
I
through
fell
season
off.
two.
It's still
I
going,
fell
I
off after the
think.
second and third.
Yeah.
No, is
no,
it?
I think it.
No, I
thought
think it's
it was
done.
ending.
Is it done?
I think it's done.
If it didn't end, it was
I don't know.
ending.
It's like 7 or 8 seasons. It's not.
Yeah, that
It's
one went on too
ridiculous.
long. But so, like, I get that, right? Where again, some of those shows they're going, hey, look, like we need to make the money, right? And these are the ones that are popular. These are the ones that broke through. I'm sure that when they started Orange, as a New Black, they didn't go, well, let's go ahead and do this for 10 seasons, or even Stranger Things, because the
No,
Duffer
but-
Brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't shit beforehand,
Correct.
but the world fell in love with it, and they're
Yep.
like, oh, okay, wait.
Yeah.
Let's stretch this one out. That one over there, we've got to pay more, the actors more now because we're tripping over season 3 or whatever
Yeah.
the case is. But that's not bringing in the money that, screw it. You guys might not see a reason for one more season of Stranger Things, but unfortunately,
It's making them the money.
exactly.
So they can get all the
Everything
other
else is
stuff.
recouping costs. So fuck that. I'm going to take the risk
But you
here
take
where I know
notice-
it's going to make it as compared to doing it over there.
Netflix will only push certain things, as far as like what they advertised.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're
I,
right.
I got to be
You're right.
honest. Like they show those little stupid previews and stuff on the my Apple TV,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it showed Lock and Key for quite a while. Well, I
Jesus.
tried the first episode,
Yeah.
and I think it kind of sucks. And they're like pushing
not-
this thing
I
hard.
still haven't clicked on it, and I get it. So, and I think that right. I think that's them going, well, we think people are going to like this because it's suggestive or it's similar
something that people
to
be clamoring for.
Exactly. So like, well, let's keep this up there. And you're right. There's a lot of stuff I think on Netflix that's completely overlooked. I'm sure there are hundreds, if not literal thousands of shows or movies, like a combination of just entertainment there that I have no clue fucking exists.
Yeah.
Because yes, some of that other shit comes to the front. And I don't think their algorithm is the best.
No.
Because there I am like scrolling and I'm thinking to myself like, I don't know what the fuck made you think I want to watch any of this shit.
Exactly.
But none of this is of interest to me.
Yeah.
And who knows what I'm actually missing out on that's like, oh, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
It probably does like the analytics. Like even if you stop on something, it's like, oh, he wants to see more of this.
Exactly. Loves
More-
this shit.
Yeah.
P.S. I love you too, or whatever the fuck
More
that
of
new
like
thing
what
is.
is that blind love or whatever?
Yeah.
I saw as a thing on that. I'm like, what in the world is this?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
blindfolded.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I totally agree with you 100% because
Bullshit, man.
there's little things here and there like the Chef Show. I fucking love that show. But there's just something okay, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Chef Show.
Is that what it's called, the Chef Show?
Yes.
Okay.
It's based off of the movie Chef with Jon Favreau.
Oh, with Jon Favreau?
But it's about him and his friend Roy Choi or something like that.
Okay.
And
That's his name.
yeah,
That rhymes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's the one who taught him how to cook for the movie.
Gotcha.
And they became buds, and it's such an unconventional cooking show because he's just going around talking to some of his friends who are obviously famous people,
Yeah.
and they're cooking, and they're just doing various things like that. The first episode I saw was with Seth Rogen, and they're making fried chicken,
That's funny.
and it was funny as hell. But I feel
this is a new Google thing, by the way. Have you guys seen that shit?
oh no,
Like, I didn't see that happen today at all.
interesting. It kind of expands it out a little
Yeah,
bit.
and then you can flip through all the different like
That's pretty
tiles.
cool.
That's interesting, isn't it?
That's very interesting. actually.
Anyways, but I didn't know. I guess even though Jon Favreau is literally on the fucking cover,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was him.
Yeah.
I was tied into that. That's fine.
Yeah, and it's just really interesting seeing that. But to go back to what we're talking about with Adam, and how visually these movies are, like before, feel more impactful. I think a lot of it is because it was all practical for the most part.
I would agree.
They had to get creative,
They
man.
did. They didn't. They couldn't just say, "We'll do it."
We'll just make it
Yeah, we'll
digitally.
CG it, yeah.
Like and look, hey, that's great. I mean, we spoke about this on IOHO not too
Yeah.
long. I think last week's episode or whatever the case is. The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I think that's fucking cool what they've done there.
Yeah.
Building the LED screen set and everything. The idea
I
that they
didn't
can
know
move it.
that's how they did it.
I think that's awesome. Technologically, like advanced. I think that's a great like tool set for directors and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see what what comes out of that moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. But when you really think about it, that whenever someone wants to create a monster or create something now, the fact that they don't have to like, all right, well, how do I make this piece do this?
Yes.
Which I feel like they had to do back in the 80s and 90s. Like, how do we make this monster a thing as opposed to, well, no, as long as you can draw it, we can make it.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing now. Like, it doesn't matter. And then what sucks is that then some studios don't even put the amount of time and money into making it as believable or look as, as good as it should.
Yeah.
And then so you end up with a shitty product that takes you out of it.
Exactly.
First time I ever noticed bad special effects in a movie, bad CGI.
Mm-hmm.
That was the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie where they had like the Kraken.
Yeah.
On 120 hertz like
Yeah.
TV.
It looks bad.
This was like the motion flow. This was like the big thing back then.
Back then, yep.
And seeing Johnny Depp, like that.
Yeah.
Like he's standing there and this Kraken's behind him.
Yeah.
And he looked dimensional.
Yep.
Everything else looked like
flat.
like it was flat
Yeah.
and just static in the background. It looked awful.
For me, it was the first Blade movie.
First Blade, second Blade movie.
For you, for first Blade movie, like when you see the blood effects and everything, I was like, "Ooh, this looks bad."
That looked bad. Like
Yeah.
there was no way around that. But
Yeah.
I feel like the CG was even worse in the second
Oh,
one.
it definitely was.
That's where they
disagree
like
with
all the
that.
characters got all like
The bendy.
Yeah.
Nah, it
they look
looked
like Gumby.
Look good.
Yeah. And I just to go to show, okay, Alien, the
It's just,
first
like,
Alien
look good.
movie,
Yeah.
and Aliens actually.
Yeah.
It was all practical and miniatures, so there was a sense of it was real because
Yeah.
it was real.
Because it was real.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
just
it's not your fault that it's
exactly.
this big.
Yeah.
But
Or in the first Alien movie, it was the guy in a suit. He was a lanky dude. He played like the alien characters all the time.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the alien on screen for much at all. And I think since it was practical and they didn't really have to show it a lot, it made it more terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where this thing is.
Now
it's just it would just be animated. Exactly.
Yeah. That's good storytelling on the director's part.
I mean, what was it? The first time they had the CGI aliens was what? Resurrection?
I think so. Yeah. When they were swimming.
Yeah. They looked like garbage.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that in
what's
Resurrection, not all of them
Joss
were
Whedon
CG.
wrote it.
But not all of those were CG. Like, I watched some of the making of that, and there were actually, like, some guy, like, you know, puppetry, like, moving through the water. And I was like, yo, that shit looks creepy. Yeah. Why did we have to... And it's because they wanted to do more, right? They wanted to do a little extra. And I was like... And then at that point, you've completely, like, removed some of that immersion that you're in it. Because you can tell when it's real, right? Because you're watching and you're like, holy shit. Yeah. That thing's chasing them, and then all of a sudden it does that, you know, that extra reach or that extra whatever, and it's all like, that you didn't need it to do that. Recently, what did we watch? Child's Play.
Child's Play. Yep.
Child's Play.
Yep.
Child's Play, where you could see where it was an actual practical doll sometimes, and then all of a sudden it did the one extra jump or stab or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's straight CG.
So what about the original where you could tell it was the dude dressed up, tiny dude?
Yeah. Yeah, running across.
They tried to do like a perspective shot and it didn't work.
No, not at all. But I mean, you like, I appreciated that kind of stuff more because again, I understood their limitations, and so when a director, you know, or an entire filming like team pulls it off, you can't help but respect it. You're like, look, man, I know the tools that like you had available to you, and you made it look this good, this believable, or you sold a story no matter what. You know, however detracting it may have looked or whatever the case is. And that's just not the case nowadays. It just kind of feels like lazy storytelling sometimes when you don't get all of that. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's just all like, no. You know, not only was the story bad, but then now I've got an even worse like character on screen that just completely pulls me out of it.
And the thing is, it works for the actors too. I know I've talked about this movie a lot, but the first Turtles movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen so many documentaries of them on talking about when they're filming it on being on set.
Yeah.
And even the actors were like, when they're speaking to the character in the suit, yeah, they're all wired up and everything, but they feel like they're actually there speaking to them.
Yeah.
Eye lines are working, everything, because it's all practical.
Yeah.
And kudos to those guys who were like wearing the
sweating
suits
in those fucking suits,
just doing all the stunts and actually performing a lot of that stuff without CG.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it looks better. And I don't care. I mean, and I know that we don't see eye to eye, but the new Turtles films or whatever, like even though I found some sort of enjoyment out of them, the original Turtles movies, including Secret of the Ooze, look better.
It really did.
Like those Turtles,
I felt there was a lot more immersive.
Yeah. I mean,
Turtles 3.
Shut up.
I still think it looked better, even though they were always looking surprised. The suits, the Jim Henson Company didn't work on that one, and it was obvious.
I know that. I think that was clearly obvious.
Jim Henson worked on it in the background.
Yeah, he was all like, "Don't do that, don't do that."
Yeah,
they kept doing it. And he's all like, "No, don't give me credit." Jim Henson spoke to us while filming. I kept saying, "Don't."
We held a seance and channeled Jim Henson, but
yeah, I mean, think about it. The whole CG thing, it was way overused. It's a shame. I mean, if you think about it, some of the best uses of CG are just the augmentation, or when their backs were against the wall and they couldn't do it any other way, like Jurassic Park, for example.
Yeah,
it was a good use of mixed media.
That's one of the best examples of CG and practical. I think in any movie.
Wait, which one? What?
Jurassic Park?
Oh, yeah.
The
first
still,
one,
I feel, holds up.
It does. It still looks good and everything like that.
It does, and I saw something recently about that. Like the T-Rex scene is what they keep referencing or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's sped up like
good.
Yeah,
it's sped up, but if you think about the time and everything, I mean, it looks better than anything else out there.
It does,
and it doesn't take you out of the movie.
Yeah,
if you look at a lot of the CGI stuff, exactly what Will was saying, it takes you out. But when there is that thing on set, when there is that puppet or whatever, the maquette that they're using, I mean, it's far more enjoyable to see that, even if that looks fake, than to actually see a crappy computer, creation.
And I think that's why I enjoy Guillermo del Toro's work, because he does a lot of that.
Does a lot of practical.
Okay, Labyrinth. I love that movie, Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
And Pan's Labyrinth, I love that movie too.
Those are two different
If
things.
he didn't do Pan's Labyrinth, if someone else were to do that, just imagine how much more CG would have been involved, and it just would have took me out of it.
Yeah, Hellboy I think is one of those, and we've spoken about this. The two Hellboy movies that he did.
Yeah, Hellboy
they
2
look great.
Yeah.
Hellboy 2 is definitely a step up.
Yeah, but it uses a lot of CG, especially in some of the creatures.
But I think it's the accent.
The tooth fairies and even
stuff
like the
that.
big tree.
Yeah.
But I felt like, like that's a director that enjoys. What else did he do?
Pacific
the big
Rim?
Titan. Yeah, there you go.
When he
Pacific
made the
Rim's
two-story
another one where you just saw like,
rig.
holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for dedicating this much to it. You know what I mean? Because it sells a little bit more.
Yeah.
The two-story rig, right?
Yeah.
That they built for the interiors of the mechs or whatever, of the Jaegers. Like, I respected that, and what's crazy is that when it's exterior shots, obviously that's full CG.
It's all CG,
right?
yeah.
But what's crazy is that they did such a good job with everything else. I don't ever feel like when I watch that movie that I'm taken out of that.
Nope.
Right.
And I watched the second one at some point eventually. It looks fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's still all CG, but again, the love and the respect and that excitement, you know what I mean?
Isn't
like
there.
to build it wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was a cash grab.
Did you ever think
work.
that we went into because we were talking about looks of the movies. Like I think that a lot of 80s movies, they may be badly acted in some ways.
Oh yeah, that's definite.
But that's part of the
They all can't
charm
be
in a
winners.
way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
part of the charm.
I agree with that.
I think they were more visually appealing. I mean, because you could tell it was something that was shot on film.
Yeah.
It has that grain and stuff. Like
Yeah.
if I watch one, I don't want it to look super clean, but I don't want it to look ugly either.
Yeah.
How many 80s movies have you seen where you can still see the
boom
smoke in
mics
the
and
air
stuff?
from smoke, and like you can see the real world grit.
The grit.
Yeah. And if you think about it, in the 90s, we went through a period of time, I mean, even the early 2000s, where movies, they just had a very crappy look about them as far as like maybe like the color grading and everything that was done to them. Like they were very flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they weren't visually stimulating to look at.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I mean, we're still sort of in that. Thank God Disney is doing different stuff with the Marvel films now, because
Yeah.
their
color
color
grading
grading
was terrible.
was bad.
Yeah.
And that flat, like clean, almost like clinical like type of look to a movie.
No.
It's tough, man. Like
Yeah.
it definitely takes me out. It ruins the believability. It just ruins the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like before, I mean, they're not saying we don't make leaps and bounds nowadays when it comes to filmmaking.
Yeah.
But I feel that before, people were pushing the envelope more. Case in point, Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
That was a marvel. To me, it still is a marvel to watch.
Yeah.
Because of how they animated it and how they handled lighting and everything to make it feel like you're watching cartoons in the
Interact
real
with
world.
real world people.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of, I'm sure you've watched plenty of the behind the scenes stuff where you can see, hydraulic, hoses or whatever, making water splash up and, what they were using for eye lines and all like the kind of shit. But like, I don't know, like it still looks great.
Yeah.
I enjoy going back and watching movies and looking for the oddities.
Yeah.
To kind of comment on what you were saying earlier, Adam. Sometimes you're watching a movie, even when you're not watching it in 120 hertz, like you can see the 3D. You know what I mean? Like what character is fully 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
And then when you can see that the other one is CG, that it doesn't look like it actually
Doesn't
has
quite line
depth
up.
to it.
Yeah.
Well,
And so it's just all like
when
this was
the
painted in.
put it this way, when that originally started to come out on the TVs, I think it made it more obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I'm saying about. That's the first time I really noticed it, and it's like, oh god, it looks horrible.
It takes away that motion blur. It takes away a little bit of that that quickness that you see in real life, and all of a sudden it's just all like, oh no, this is clearly something that was put in after.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like it exists
Yeah.
in real space. is I guess what I'm trying to say there. But
Did you ever get the feeling that that back in like the 70s and 80s, as far as the movies that were being made,
Mm-hmm.
that they did in fact have an actual easier go as far as being able to do it, like as far as like being able to make it independently and stuff
yeah.
like that?
Definitely.
Because if you think about it now, like a lot of those smaller films and stuff that are being made, it may be something that you don't even know about, because it's not getting that press.
Yeah. I think so many people are so accustomed to big spectacles.
yeah,
So when we have movies like that, now they're more dramas and they're not really as special effects heavy.
yeah,
And a lot of times we don't even really see it unless they do extremely well. For example, Parasite.
yeah. I was about to say Parasite.
Parasite is a foreign film. It doesn't really have any special effects because it's the way the story is told. It doesn't really need it.
Yeah,
If it didn't win all those awards, I probably never would have even heard of it or watched it.
yeah.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
I think you might have stumbled on.
I mean, as far as
There's a good chance
as far
I
as
could
viewing
have,
it, because
you know what Train to Busan is, right? And
Yeah.
it's not the
I've
same
never seen it,
guy
though.
What's up?
It's not
No,
the
no,
same
no.
guy
I know. I'm
that-
saying, but that's a big like foreign film. You know what I mean? Like, and that hasn't won any awards, but like you know about it
Yeah.
because of like the circles that you run. So
Exactly.
I think Parasite would have been on your radar at some point. Now, granted,
Yeah.
I agree with you to the extent that like I didn't know this was a movie at all,
Yeah.
and I watch a bunch of weird shit occasionally, but
Yeah.
I didn't know Parasite was a thing until all of a sudden it's
Parasite,
all over.
I mean that guy. I mean, he's been all over the map as far as different kinds of movies
Snowpiercer?
that he made.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
enjoyed Snowpiercer.
I never saw any of his films. I saw a little bit of The Host, and I
Yeah.
couldn't get into it.
Which one's the host? Is that the one with the girl?
It's
Giant
a big
squid
giant
thing.
monster thing that's eating people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you're thinking like Jinko? I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking that for the host.
Oh, no, not that one. No.
Yeah, oh,
It's a
okay.
different one.
Yeah, Bong Joon
Yeah.
Ho or
Boon Jong Ho.
yeah, I don't know. I always, for whatever reason, I can't remember his name. I just know his name is Bong.
It is Bong Joon Ho.
Yeah.
I'm looking for his filmography to see what the heck I'm missing here.
Yeah, it's it's 2006.
Oh yeah, I never watched.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And I didn't see the host. I didn't even know what this was.
Yeah. So.
The Mother, I've seen that. That box art. But I enjoyed Snowpiercer. I guess I'm a little bit more interested to watch Parasite now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But luckily, because of things like all these streaming platforms,
Yeah.
they need content, and I think that's where obviously now, right, those smaller films, they found a place to thrive. So
Yeah.
because of that, it's all like, okay, cool. I mean, flood it. You know what I mean? Flood it with as much as you can, and hopefully. And I know that's not the way it works, right? That the best kind of stuff will kind of rise to the top. I know that that's not usually the case. Sometimes the good stuff does get drowned out by whatever has a bigger name attached to it, or whatever a studio feels is supposed to be the big thing.
I want to call out
Looking at you, Lock and Key.
I want to call out all three of them: Netflix, Amazon with their Prime Video, Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
They all need to do a better job as far as their interface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And letting us know what is actually new. Because if you look at the new releases on Netflix,
Yeah.
it'll be something that came out like 6 months ago and it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know you guys got new stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's not a new release that you're advertising
Exactly.
right there.
I agree with that.
I mean, and it's just, they want you to watch what they want you to watch. And it kind
Yeah.
of sucks.
I agree.
But I think the cool thing, though, about filmmaking and a lot that happened in the 80s is allowing a lot of modern filmmakers who don't have big budgets and everything that kind of inspire them to do things. So I know you guys probably don't watch them as much as I do, but like little fan films and short films, I feel a lot of those, especially in the special effects department, they give me a feeling of like the 80s nostalgia with how a lot of them are done. Just because they're obviously smaller budgets. Let's just take the Uncharted one for one.
Yeah.
It didn't really have a big budget. To me, it felt like how those older movies would have been done. Smaller scale, using the resources to the best of their ability instead of relying on just CG. And you had acting. People had to be better at just doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool how on a smaller scale, your regular Joe can kind of do that. They can look at a lot of those documentaries, how they did things, and redo that in modern time. Especially like if they want to have spaceships. I saw there was a how to use miniatures and how to film it and make it look like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's techniques that they use in those old movies.
I mean, there's a lot of those that I've seen that are kind of on the bad side too.
Oh, there is a lot that's on the bad side also. But you'll get those gems every now and then. It doesn't happen too often, but you'll sometimes get those gems, and it's just done perfect.
Which one was that?
Some of the ones I'm thinking of, some of the Dragon Ball ones that I've seen.
Oh,
that Street Fighter one I thought was really good.
that was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Mortal Kombat one.
Yeah. Oh, the one that had Michael Jai White
Yeah.
as Jax. Yeah.
Yep.
But see, I don't consider those fan films though. I mean, I consider it a fan film like when it comes up and says, "Hey, please don't sue us."
That
You
too.
know, at the
I think
very
there was
start of
there was
it.
a Star Trek one like that too. That I think I can't even remember the name of it. But that was one of those things where I think they got a cease and desist or whatever.
And then that Power Ranger one
Yeah.
with James Vanderbeek was
Yeah. But no, I mean, even to a certain extent, like I don't want to knock.
See that
Yeah.
the Punisher one,
yeah,
I
the
love that
Punisher one?
Punisher one.
That was a good one.
the one with the Eddie Brock one.
Yeah,
That was
one's
good, too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? That just because some of these situations, right, actually involve like an actor who's a little bit more, or not an actor, or an actor or a director that's a little bit more well established,
Yeah.
right, than the standard individual. That doesn't mean that, at least to me, that it's not a fan film. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't something that was greenlit by a studio. This isn't something that's being pushed. This is something that somebody said, like, I want to make this.
The Mortal Kombat thing
Let's go
was
ahead and
though the Street
Mortal
Fighter
Kombat.
one.
No, Mortal Kombat initially was just a short that
Yeah.
somebody put out,
Yeah,
and then it got picked up because they were like,
you're talking
shit,
about
this is good.
the 2-minute trailer, right?
or
I've
whatever it
seen that
was, and I
thing,
think
yeah.
that's what got turned into a series. But that's what I'm saying.
I
that
still think
that
that wasn't
derived
in the
from
same category.
something that somebody wanted.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree because
I disagree.
I
Circle
don't.
gets square.
I mean, agree.
I mean, I just don't consider that in the same category.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know, but it is nice whenever some of those things come to free, right? And to kind of jump back to the Mortal Kombat one, that's why the movie is being made now, right?
Yeah.
Is because that short got turned into a web series that got 2 seasons, and people were like,
I had never even seen.
I
any
think it
of
got 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and now that they're like, well, I mean, people want a movie, so like, can we do that? Because we'd like
let's
to make a movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, eventually, and I'm like, okay, like I don't expect it to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll make 150 if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
I'll make $15.
But
We'll
some
get
of us will
one
enjoy it.
ticket.
And I'm not even like a hardcore MK fan. Like, I'm not.
No, definitely not.
I just enjoy good storytelling.
Yeah.
And I was back in the day, and I really can't get into it.
I was real into it. Like Mortal Kombat 2, that was the peak for me.
That was for you.
Yeah.
It was just the movie.
Three was the one that I got obsessed with.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the movie.
I love that movie.
Mostly because the combo system was more refined. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost like going from like Street Fighter 2 to one of the other ones where it actually shows you the
Yeah, combo counters.
yeah,
and doing all
where
that.
it makes you feel like you did more.
I didn't need the run button, man. Just give me the run. I was like, no, I don't need that.
Everybody needs it.
It's good stuff.
It is. You just totally went off the rails with the run button.
There
Whatever.
is no off the rails
That's
on this
true.
show.
On Buddy Talks, it doesn't.
See?
So, all right, if you can have a movie come back and they would remake it but still use the practical effects and everything.
Back to the Future. I just wanted to see his face. That was good.
What would you choose?
That was good.
It's a good question. Will, I'm thinking about it right now.
Practical?
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. Gremlins.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
That would be really good.
You're welcome. That's
I
what
want
I'm
to see
here
Short
for.
Circuit.
That's another one.
I want to see Johnny Five fast forward,
Yeah.
and he's in modern times,
Yeah.
but he's still that robot from the 80s.
I'm telling you, man. When I read about Short Circuit when I did my double atom analyzes on that. And I found out that Aziz Ansari, you know, he said about the white
guy
the white dude playing the Indian.
Doing brownface,
Yeah, and I think it would be awesome if you would get both of them back.
Get him, Steve Guttenberg and I can't remember the guy's name.
Get all of them back. And then have Aziz as like his son.
That's good.
I mean, I think
Fisher
it would be
Stevens.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome.
Yeah,
I agree.
They're not doing anything now.
I mean, I really think it would be awesome to just
have
that as a revival.
I would watch that.
No, but
why are we not movie executives? Probably because
that's
of
the idea
the
that
fact
we want to do.
Yeah, because we would do it and it wouldn't make any money, but we would be satisfied.
Yeah, we'd be so happy.
so
We'd be like,
stoked.
man, that was so fucking good. We're in the negative.
Yeah.
I'm
just
feeling
wanted
positive.
them to make an animatronic Johnny Five.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
wanted to see him again.
And now I've got the little miniature as well on my desk. So fuck y'all.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think those are two good, like really good choices. I like Johnny Five.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
I mean, I'm trying to think about it. I mean, it's going to go into the horror realm. I mean, and it sucks. It sucks because they have like 3 of them. And I was thinking like Reanimator. I would just want it to be done in the same way with the practical effects.
Yeah.
But I don't really care for the other 2. I only really like the first one. The other 2 I could take or leave. It's too much.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Jeffrey Combs come back and do the role one more time.
Yeah.
So.
That'd be cool, man.
Yeah.
And on that note, thanks. We're at almost an hour. It's about 51 minutes, but I think it's
That's not
good
bad.
enough.
Yeah.
If you guys have anything that you want to comment on, hit us, shoot us an email at buddytalkspod@gmail.com or hit us up on any social stuff. We'll try to incorporate it. Thanks, guys. Where can they find you at, Adam?
Swallow.
I'm like the waiter waiting for you. Asking how your meal is once you're eating.
I was taking a drink.
and what's fucked up is he looked at me.
I know.
Caught you drinking. He quickly shifted.
Yeah.
I was like, that.
I know.
That was on purpose.
Yeah, it was. It's all right. It was good comedy moments.
Yeah, it was.
That's good.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on cyberspace.
Yeah.
Just floating around.
With the Lawnmower Man.
Yeah. Job. Hanging out with Job and the kid from the Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
He was in both of those.
Yeah.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah, same kid. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Adam_analyzes.
That's right.
And AdamAnalyzes.com, all that good stuff.
How about you, Will?
You can find me over at inouronestopinion.com because that's what I do. And you can always find me on my Twitter at KryptonsWill.
Yep. And you can find me at TheArtfulGen on Twitter or BuddyTalksPodcast.com. Thanks again, guys, for joining me.
Of course.
We're going to
Anytime.
continue this conversation in our honest opinion.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, fight me.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you later.